You said your name is David, yes? You understand very much about our world. What do you know about my legion, or I suppose chapter now, the Dark Angels?
No, we're not going to talk about the Dark Angels because everything has been changed with the recent update and the data slate updates. And I don't think my phone app has updated itself yet, so we're going to talk about something else.
Oh. Okay then. Then what would you prefer to talk about?
How about a short discussion about Terminators?
What in the Ultramar realm is a Terminator?
I'm pretty sure they were calling the tactical Dreadnought armor by the simplified name of Terminator armor by the time the Great Crusade ended. But Terminator armor was created by the Mechanicus morons on Mars during the Great Crusade. This armor was designed to be a mixed model of the sarcophagus Dreadnought vehicles and the standard, at that point, Mark III iron power armor, which we'll talk about the standard power armors in the future. Perhaps when Perturabo or some schmuck kidnaps me next. It's only a matter of time. This armor comes with filtration systems to keep the Marine alive and active in hostile environments such as plagued dead worlds or radiation fields, because the Admex got a little too excited with their toasters. The original design of said warsuits was one for more cramped areas like hive worlds or space hulks that require heavy firepower but a lot of defense because of the extremely rare amounts of cover. A vehicle being incapable of going into said areas, like try bringing a motorcycle into a building. Now give the cycle a couple of forward-mounted guns. Now upsize the things for an 8-foot dude. Different sub-factions of the machine cult, different forge worlds, and sometimes a random dude in the middle of the emptiness of space made different tactical dreadnought armor styles, now called Terminator armors. Of course, the Horus heresy underway, a lot of these worlds either recycle binned their designs, had the PC they were running on destroyed with no external file saves, or were stolen and utilized by the traitorous legions like the Fallen Angels.
You're lucky I am here and not my sons. I've been trying to teach them not to shoot anyone who mentions my adopted father's legion.
So I've heard. Anyway, we've got the toaster fuckers' stupid laws that make it so they can't expand on old ideas. So with so many Terminator class designs gone, the mechs don't make them very often. Because of that, chapters have to scavenge for ancient Terminator armors to fix them up and pray to whatever force of nature they believe in that they get them to run. And on rare occasions that Mechanicus does decide to make a new one of a big old fuck-off armor, it's usually made from pieces of 20 different suits of armor cobbled together with shoe nails and Elmer's glue. With the rare nature of this armor, it's almost exclusively allowed to be used by veteran-class Marines, usually of the first company, unless you're a part of the Death Watch, which doesn't really have companies, kind of. Another subject really about that. Trying to get my hands on a War of the Beast book so I can talk about them better. Now, chapters look at these armors at the highest honor bestowed upon anyone in said chapters. Even Dreadnoughts will look at them with envy, which is funny because Dreadnoughts should be the highest honor. Even chapter masters look at Dreadnoughts like they're an archbishop in the Catholic Church. Of course, one of my favorite stories about Terminators is straight out of a novel, Master of Sanctity, which is Book 2 in the Legacy of Caliban series. There's a small part in there where...
I know this situation. One of my sons ended up stomping through some stairs and ended up 3 meters into the ground. The extraction team had to pull him out.
Yep. Apparently, some Thousand Sons also had a strike of fear with some stairs because of the creaking they were making. There's literally a machine meant to get a Terminator and Space Marine out of holes they get stuck in. Now, let's talk about different patterns of Terminator armor. There's at least 10, including prototype armor and Custodes armor, and a few legions also made their own custom ones, mostly the Salamanders. There's also unique ones utilized by some named Marines. The Cataphracti armor was the first. It looks like a Dreadnought with fingers, really. The Iron Hands seem to utilize it the most, as they apparently have a huge number of them. This thing was stupid slow and quickly done away with, but it's used as a relic sometimes, and sometimes strapped with a grenade launcher on the head. Tartaros is given to most first companies, though it's not quite to the point of Terminator yet. It's insanely rare, and sometimes it just kept in librarian vaults as a memory object, then actually used as a tool of war. Sometimes they will come into play, though only given to regarded first companies. The Indomitus pattern, Terminator armor, was the first to actually be called Terminator, being created during the Horus Heresy, and is the Terminator armor we know and love today. The canid-like helmet is what most people see about it, with the Aquilin sigil on the left shoulder as well. Chaos Legions will often change the helmet in ways not natural to Chaos, including just using cattle heads or putting tusks on it. The sigil on the shoulder there is said to be made of the Emperor's personal armor, or rather from pieces of it, but I don't know about that. The Biggie is a big dude, but he can't be that big, right?
He's 4 1/3 meters tall.
14 feet tall? How is he hiding before the Age of Strife? Whatever. Gorgon Power Armor is a variation of Indomitus designed by Ferrus Manus and his Iron Fathers, which was designed to use the battle around the Terminator as an energy source for the armor itself. But it also had a lot of issues requiring the wearer to essentially be a proto-Primaris to even use it. Vulcan designed some Terminators too, designing them after the drop site massacre on Isstvan V. These designs went back to the tactical Dreadnought design, but made them slightly less immobile. The armor was angled for better deflect shots, while also strapped with power fists, lightning claws, and chain blades on the left hand. I want to point out in that sentence, not or, and. The right hand had multiple weapon possibilities as well, from a combi bolter, autocannons, plasma launchers, rocket launchers, and a Volkite culverin. And one of those things could be put on the Terminator's head as well. Why is this not utilized? I imagine it's because the design was kept within Vulcan's head when he vanished. Saturnine is the design made in the later parts of the Heresy, and is considered the same as the Indomitus armor. The Arcanak pattern is only used by the Minotaurs, and the only information we get of that is in the Imperial Armor Volume 12. Aegis armor is used by the Grey Knights and comes with an Aegis system and Psychic Hood. Then we've got two Custodes armor, the Aquilon and the Alaris. The Aquilon is essentially a slightly altered Cataphracti with better source of power and customized uplinks to work with the more natural Custodes. These are strapped with an insane list of weapons, while the Alaris is more modern Custodes Terminator armor, with upgraded power source, movement system, and the armor to give them more movement than the Indomitus, while being harder to stop. There's also 4 relic armors. One was used by the Ultramarines Chapter Master, another Horus Lupercal's personal armor, Perturabo of Olympia's armor, and Ferrus Manus's armor. But this has gone on for far too long. I didn't think this discussion would be so long, so go off and shove off.